Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the official ribbon cutting for the new Boston Landing Station. To get us started today, I'd like to invite a very talented young lady to the stage. Catherine Scott is a 6th grader from the Thomas Edison Elementary School in Brighton, and she's going to sing the national anthem. Welcome up, Catherine. Thank you.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
We'll do it. Thank you, Catherine. That was beautiful. And speaking of beautiful things, as I look around, I noticed that not only is the station beautiful, but this space is incredibly well-designed and very special, particularly on a day like this with the sun shining. I'd like to personally thank the team from New Balance for their multi-million-dollar investment in this station and this location. This you're seeing today is an example of what public-private partnership are all about. It's a big win for the riders, it's a win for the taxpayers, it's going to be a win for the people that use this station every day. These types of partnerships are so vital to the continued growth of public transportation. Because they happen in a financially sound manner, they are good for the state, good for the development partners, and most importantly, good for our customers who can now use this beautiful station. This is an exciting day, and we have a very full speaking program, so let's get to it. Please let me welcome Keith Craig, the New Balance Director of Development. Welcome, Keith.
Hi, everyone. So just want to point out, I know we have a train back there, so station's not in service yet, so don't get on it. So just to be clear, I'm officially not your first speaker today. I simply have the great privilege to introduce Jim Davis from New Balance. So something that's very important to Mr. Davis and is really one of the true successes in this partnership of building a new train station is that the team from MassDOT, Keolis, MBTA, the city, led by the design and construction team, STV, Skanska, and their subcontractors, Sanborn Head, PMA. Everyone has acted brilliantly. And really what the success here is that everyone has acted professionally and with accountability. So we'd like to thank you for that. Please welcome the chairman of New Balance, the private sponsor of this station, community leader and visionary of Boston Landing, Jim Davis.
Thank you, thank you. Keith was really the conduit between New Balance and this project. He did a heck of a job. Governor Baker, Lieutenant Governor Polito, Secretary Pollack, Representatives Mike Moran and Kevin Honan, Senator Sal DiDomenico, I always have a problem with that. Sorry, Sal, if you're here. City Councilor Mark Siomo, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the new Boston Landing commuter rail stop. During the maturation of this transformative project, we have celebrated many exciting groundbreakings, beam signings, ribbon cuttings. None is more significant or exciting than this event. It is truly a metamorphosis, a game changer. Boston Landing Rail Stop will influence every citizen, business, visitor, employee, and consumer in the Allston, Brighton area and beyond. It is the first rail service to our community in 50 years. That's a long time. Most of you weren't here. Eastbound, it connects Allston Brighton with downtown Boston at South Station, with stops at Yawkey and Back Bay. Westbound, it goes as far as Worcester with many stops en route. This rail stop is a convenient and stimulating change agent for our community. It further confirms that Boston Landing is truly the western gateway to the city of Boston. The rail stop will attract new investments in real estate, corporations, restaurants, and entertainment centers. The Bruins Warrior Arena, the Celtics Auerbach Center, the New Balance Track and Sports Research Lab, assembled in one location, becomes a unique urban sports mecca. This, along with the confluence of unparalleled architecture, convenient transportation, and ample affordable housing, is inspirational and thought-provoking. It attracts creative and talented millennials who seek a vibrant, stimulating, 24/7 environment where they can live, work, and play. Allston Brighton becomes to Boston what Brooklyn is to New York. Believe me, that's going to happen. Allston is going to be the next Brooklyn. Allston Brighton, sorry folks. On a personal note, the Davis family is privileged and honored to introduce this rare public and private enterprise to the Allston Brighton community. We have been here over 40 years and feel a strong affinity and loyalty to our friends. Through mutual trust, integrity, and respect, we've done a lot together to make our little corner of Boston an example for others to follow. Boston Landing is the pinnacle of our relationship and proof of how seemingly impossible dreams, through courage and determination, become reality. We have many to thank for the support and encouragement we received over the decades. But none of this is possible without the continued success of our company. I want to thank my wife, Ann, for putting up with me. She thinks I'm crazy. Maybe a little bit. And we want to thank the thousands of New Balance associates from around the world who over the years have made this all possible. The following, in no special order, are largely responsible for the successful completion of Rail Stop. As always, our Allston Brighton friends and neighbors and our Boston Landing Advisory Group. Our public partners, MassDOT and the MBTA. Our design and construction team, Skanska as construction manager, STV as designer engineer, Sanborn as head geotechnical engineer, and PMA consultants. Again, our Allston Brighton elected delegation, Kevin Honan, Brian Siomo, Sal DiDomenico, I got it that time, and Mike Moran. Sorry, Mike, you were first, I'm past you. They are always there. A special thanks for the encouragement and confidence and enthusiasm goes to Governor Charlie Baker, Mayor Marty Walsh, Lieutenant Governor Karen Polito, Secretary of Transportation Stephanie Pollack, and MBTA General Manager Brian Shortsleeve. They all wanted to make this happen, and it did. Anytime there was an issue, they stepped right up. Thank you very much. This project was new territory for all involved. It is one of the few public-private infrastructure partnerships statewide. There was no beaten path to follow. It was like blazing a new trail. It required risk-taking, courage, mutual trust and respect, focus, and transparency. Special thanks goes to the New Balance development team. Those guys did it all for skillfully navigating these uncharted territories and enlisting support from the Governor's Office, City Hall, the Office of the Secretary of Transportation, including the MBTA, and our Allston Brighton elected delegation. A job well done. Thank you. As a private citizen of the Commonwealth, with headquarters here in the city, it is encouraging to witness, especially in today's world, how bipartisan team effort through a public-private partnership can successfully complete a seemingly impossible task on time and on budget. This is further proof that the system, when properly managed, and those are the key words, when properly managed, does work for the benefit of the people. Does work for the benefit of the people. I've said this before. Washington should take a lesson. Thank you very much.
Let me introduce Governor Baker. Next speaker. Thank you.
Let me start by saying that was really one of the best introductions I've ever had. Thank you so much for laying it on so heavy there, Brian. You know, they say that success has 1,000 fathers and that failure is an orphan. Well, I got news for all of you. This success has one father, all right? And it's Jim Davis. And I've actually lived in this neighborhood. My wife and I lived here for 4 or 5 years in the 1980s. And I always used to think it was so close to so many things that the possibilities were transformational if somebody could figure out what the plan was and then find a way to get it done, recognizing the difficulties associated with that sort of long-term planning and development. And you know, this step today, Boston Landing, is one step of many that have taken place in this neighborhood and in this community over the course of the past several years, maybe even the past certainly at least a decade. And I think we can't understate that when we think about what's happening here today. This is a great moment and a big opportunity and a significant development and a great example of a public-private partnership. But let's remember that the transformation of this neighborhood and this community has been going on for quite a while here and will continue to go on after today, and that the possibilities, because of the work that's come before this, the development of this new commuter rail station and some of the other activity that's going on here, really does spell nothing but the sky's the limit for Allston Brighton. And I do want to take a minute and thank Representative Moran and Representative Honan and the other members of the delegation, as well as the members of the City Council and the city generally, who've been working collaboratively with New Balance and with others in this neighborhood and this community to pull this off and to make this all happen. And as Jim Davis said, this is a really great example of a public-private partnership that worked, mostly on time, on budget. And I got to give Secretary Pollock, Stephanie Pollock, and Acting Interim Administrator Brian Shortsleeve and the rest of their teams working the public side of this one enormous credit for what they and their teams have done. And I also want to say how much we appreciate the partnership with David Scory and the folks at Keolis, who'll be running trains on this starting on Monday. In some ways, this is a wonderful example of a transit-oriented development project. But this is, in many ways, sort of the middle act here of what I think is going to be a 3, 4, 5-act play with much more to come. But if you sit here and think about what this does, it connects the 15-acre Boston Landing development here to employees, to patrons, to visitors from around the Commonwealth. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if a few years from now, there won't just be people coming in from the west and getting off here. There are going to be people coming out from other parts of Boston and getting off here for a whole variety of reasons. You have the Warrior Ice Arena, which is the home to the Boston Bruins training and practice facility, which all kinds of engagements and ice hockey and skating events will be happening at going forward. You're going to have the Boston Celtic practice and training facility, which will probably have a similar opportunity to serve the community. Athletes Park, which is approximately 1.5 acres of open green and plaza space for the public. Nearly 300 residential units, a new hotel to come in the future, and tens of thousands of square feet of office, lab, retail, and restaurant space. I mean, this is a really big deal, folks. And if people didn't get a sense about that just driving in and looking around, you should try and come back here every 6 months for the next couple of years as it continues to develop and expand. But I must say today, we're celebrating a really great example of what happens when a leader in the business community and a company and an organization make a decision to invest in their neighborhood, in their people, in their community, and partner collaboratively and successfully with local leaders, state officials, and put together a terrific, comprehensive plan to serve and build this neighborhood into the 21st century. And I really do look forward to seeing the success of this of this particular station, but mostly what I'm excited about is all that's happened here and all that will happen in this neighborhood because of all the collaborative work that's been done. You know, Jim Davis talked about the fact that there's been a tremendous amount of bipartisan effort put into this. City folks, state folks, private sector folks, community advocates, legislators, city councilors, everybody working together over an extended period of time to build and create a new community here that's ready for whatever happens next. And to the folks wearing the hard hats, I want to say thank you to all of you for the work you've done and the work that you will do here going forward. But this is truly a great day for Allston Brighton, a great day for Boston, and a great day for Massachusetts. And thank you very much to New Balance.
Thank you, Governor Baker. Would you please join me now in a warm welcome for the 72nd Lieutenant Governor of Massachusetts and a great supporter of the Worcester line, Lieutenant Governor Karen Polito.
So good morning. It's a really exciting time to be here in this space. I first want to say a lot of good things are happening on Mondays here in the city, Mr. Mayor. With GE groundbreaking a couple of Mondays ago, Monday at the Omni Hotel in the Seaport, and with Boston Landing opening for business on this coming Monday. Truly amazing things happening here in the city. As Jim Davis said, what I love about this particular project is that it's known as the Western Gateway to the city. As someone who commutes from the central part of the state in Worcester into this city, I've been driving by this site for a number of years now, and I'm truly happy to see this come to reality. And as the governor called him the father of this project, Jim Davis is also the son of Greek immigrants. And for Jim to see so much opportunity here in this Commonwealth and to have a vision in this neighborhood and to marshal the vision into a plan and into reality is truly an amazing accomplishment that will be valued for decades to come. And we are all so grateful for his hard work, effort, and commitment to seeing this through. While he has invested and continues to invest much in this area, in the Western Gateway, he's also connected to my hometown area. His early days were spent in Worcester, being educated at Worcester Academy, and he's continued to be so integral in the development of many projects to help the Gateway on the central part of the state bookend to this project in Worcester, and we are so grateful. I want to also thank the group that formed, because when you think about the Boston Landing opening, you've got to think about what we really need to accomplish, and that is better service for the people who will be riding this line, the people who will connect to this landing, to get to work, to get to appointments, to get to fun activities to include in their lives. And what people need is certainly reliability, to know that when they get on the train, when they look at their schedule, that they will arrive when it says it will. And that takes a lot of effort. And as you know, the governor and our team have been working extremely hard to improve the performance on this Worcester line and others. I want to give Brian Shortsleeve and David Scory a compliment for personally involving themselves in a Worcester line working group. Now, this is a working group of riders that have the day-to-day experiences of taking the Worcester line to work and to their appointments, and they have a lot to say about that experience. And for Brian and to David to involve themselves personally in listening to how they can improve service is really quite a commitment. I also want to thank Keolis for the replacement of track and installation of more than 50,000 new rail ties that have allowed for the elimination of heat-related speed restrictions. Obviously, that improves performance. And for the MBTA and Keolis to have worked together to stabilize and increase locomotives and passenger coaches will also improve the amount of service. And for making the connection for the Worcester families and individuals with nonstop service from Worcester Union Station right here into this landing and into Boston in less than an hour is a profound development for those that live and work and have their experience in the central part of the state. And I also want to say that restoring the double track between Boston Landing and Commonwealth Ave Bridge in Boston for the first time in 50 years is truly monumental. Thank you, Stephanie Pollock, for your leadership, for understanding all the ways that people connect to the city, north, south, east, and west have to work. And thank you to the leadership team that you see here today, along with our legislative leaders and Representative Honan and Representative Moran, for doing an outstanding job communicating effectively with those that live in this neighborhood and wanted to see this project come to reality. It's a great team effort. We're good at building teams, working together, and getting stuff done. Let's all stand proudly with Jim Davis and his team in calling this the newest stop and arrival point for people in our Commonwealth. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lieutenant Governor. At this point, I'd like to introduce several important officials in the audience. First, Boston Police Commissioner Evans, who just joined us. MBTA Fiscal and Management Control Board members, Steve Poftak and Monica Tibbetts-Nutt. Senator Sal D. Domenico, who I know is here. Representative Kevin Honan. And Boston City Councilor Mark Siomo. Thank you all for coming today. Now I'd like to introduce one of the strongest proponents and most knowledgeable folks in this state about public transportation, my boss, Secretary of Transportation, Stephanie Pollock.
Transit and communities are really synergistic. Great communities deserve great transit, and great transit only is great when it serves the needs of people to get home, to get to work, to get to great recreational opportunities like the restaurants and the sporting facilities near this station. One of the most exciting things about this new commuter rail station is that it not only serves the great new part of the neighborhood that is Boston Landing, but it puts, with the Everett Street connection to this station, it puts parts of the traditional Allston Brighton neighborhood within walking distance of rail transit for the first time in half a century. I know that that is not all the transit that that neighborhood is looking for, and I know that this is, as the governor said, sort of the middle of a longer narrative about better connecting Allston Brighton to Boston and the region through transit investment. But today marks an important milestone, and so it's worth celebrating the fact that both Boston Landing and Allston Brighton in general are now a train ride at the price of a subway ticket away from downtown Boston for the first time in a very long time. And that took real partnership. I think one of the things that Boston Landing teaches us is that a public-private partnership is not about signing a piece of paper and then walking away and allowing the private partner to do the work. When we came in, when this administration came in 2015, there was a long history of planning and design for this project, and there was a signed agreement. But as the project got toward the beginning of the completion of design and the time to break ground and start construction on the station, a lot of really important issues, financial issues, operational issues, construction issues came up that really don't come up until you're that close. And it taught us all that partnership is about an ongoing relationship. It was about revising the terms of the agreement when it made sense to revise them. It was about making sure that construction was able to go forward in a way that met the needs of getting the station built, but balanced them against the needs of those of us on the trains that go by here every day who honestly experienced inconveniences over the last year and a half during the construction period and degradation in on-time performance that now will pay off in the form of bringing new transit riders to the MBTA's commuter rail system. So it's been a pleasure working with the New Balance development team and MassDOT and the MBTA. It's been a pleasure watching both the development and the station go up as I go by, either on a train or on the Mass Pike. And it's a particular pleasure because one of the ways that you can mark the passage of time in an administration is when you finally start to get to the point where the projects you're celebrating you are at the groundbreaking and the ribbon cutting for. And this is actually one of the first of those for us. Finally, a lot of people have been thanked, but I want to make sure to thank the men and women at MassDOT, at the MBTA, in our Capital Delivery Department, in our Commuter Rail Operations Department, in operations in real estate. It took a lot of people on our side to make the public side of the public-private partnership work, as is true with every public-private partnership. So thank you, those of you who are here today and those of you who aren't. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Secretary Pollack. And now representing constituents of the 18th Suffolk District, a great champion of this project from the very beginning, Representative Michael Moran.
Thank you. What a day. I can't begin to tell you how fortunate I feel to stand here today at the opening of this commuter rail stop. For some of us, it has been 50 years, or more to the point, since the last time trains have rolled through Allston, Brighton, and they closed the station. It involved what we can see now as a watershed moment when our friend Jim and Ann Davis purchased a small sneaker manufacturer with a few employees that made about 30 sneakers a day back in 1972. It is 50 years of stops and starts, negotiations, and our neighbors fighting for something better for our area. It is 50 years of now what is Boston Landing, home of New Balance, Boston Bruins, Boston Celtics, residential housing, commercial, business space, a hotel, green space for all of us to enjoy, and my favorite part, a commuter rail station. I look down Guest Street, and I can hardly believe the remarkable transformation that has happened in just a few short years. In the immortal words of Dorothy Gale, and I quote, "Toto, I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore." After 50 years of hard work to working towards this day, it's impossible to thank everybody, but it's worth noting a few. Starting with Governor Charlie Baker and Lieutenant Governor Karen Polito and Secretary of Transportation Stephanie Pollack. The previous administration, and particularly former Lieutenant Governor Tim Murray and Secretary Rich Davey. The Mayor of the City of Boston, Martin Walsh, and the previous Mayor, Thomas Menino, who both campaigned very strongly to make sure that this project happened today. Our local senators, former State Senator Steve Tolman, who was instrumental in the early days of this project. As we said, Sal DiDomenico and Senator Will Brownsberger. My neighbors, who fought so hard for a Guest Street that would settle for nothing better than a commuter rail stop and the expansion of New Balance. They deserve a ton of credit. And as always, most of you who are around this neighborhood enough know that the elected delegation that live here, myself, my good friend Kevin Honan, and our city councilor who works very hard for us, Mark Siomo, it's a team approach, and I want to thank them for all their support throughout this whole process. And finally, and certainly not least, a heartfelt thank you to Jim and Ann Davis and their family, and the entire New Balance development team headed up by Jim Halliday, and their outside government relations group headed up by Jack Murphy and Dan Sensei. Jim and Ann took a small shoe company, worked hard, and turned it into a multi-billion-dollar company, all the while keeping a presence here in Allston, Brighton. I know that Jim and Ann aren't comfortable with receiving public thank yous, but this is one simple thing that they've always done. You do what's right, and they've always done what's right, and we want to thank them for that. This $27 million station is just one of those things that they give back to this community. So I hope you'll all join me at the end of this dedication and help offset some of that $27 million by going next door and buying a pair of 990s, which are made in America. But seriously, I do know this. I do know this for a fact. If it wasn't for Jim and Ann, we'd be standing right now in a parking lot of a box store. And that would have been no good for this community. And I personally want to thank them for all they've done for that. Thanks, Jim, and thanks, Ann.
Thank you, Representative, and thanks for your leadership on this project. Joining us today is our commuter rail partner and fellow Worcester Line rider, Keolis General Manager David Scory.
So thank you, Brian. And as Brian said, yes, I am a Worcester Line rider. And as the Lieutenant Governor said, watching this station go up over the last year has just been awe-inspiring, really. It's a real honor to be here to celebrate this momentous event. As a public transport professional, I'm always delighted to see new developments on the network, delighted to see new opportunities for riders to travel, whether it's for work or whether it's for leisure, and to see the way that this station connects to this community in the way that's already been described is just fantastic. One of the things that I really wanted to remark upon, though, is the difficulty of building something as significant as that on an operational railway can't be underestimated. The level of skill, the planning, the coordination, to do all of that on time, safely, and achieve such a great outcome is just amazing. So I've been fortunate enough to be privy to some of the work that's gone on behind the scenes, the way that partners have needed to come together to overcome issues, and there have been issues along the way, complexities and challenges, and everybody has worked tirelessly to sort those things out, and I think they've achieved a great outcome. So I'd really like to congratulate the construction team and the project team for a fantastic result. So well done, guys. Absolutely. So, again, I'm delighted to be here. I'm sure this station is going to be a fantastic success. It's a legacy. It's going to benefit riders in this area for generations to come. So once again, thank you for allowing me to be part of this celebration today. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Let me acknowledge also in the audience BRA Director Brian Golden was over there. We missed him a little earlier. Thank you, Brian. Now I'd like to introduce a person who has given much of her time to work very closely on this project as a member of the Boston Landing Advisory Group, Annabelle Gomes. Thanks.
Today's a really exciting day for our community. It's been over half a century since we've had a train stop here, and since then our community really has gone through a lot of transformations, from stockyards, industrial, warehouses, vacant warehouses, and now a vibrant new community being built by Mr. Davis. Mr. Davis, thank you for that. Thank you for your vision and your commitment to this community, and for putting together a development team that really worked with our elected officials, City Hall, Mayor Walsh, the State House, the Governor, and mostly the community, in building a train station that really is not just for the development, but for the community. The bridge on Everett Street connects North Brighton and Allston by accessing it on the bridge and making it easier, and really ties the community together. So again, thank you for the hard work that everybody put in together. Thank you.
Thank you, Annabelle. And now I give you a man who is not only a champion of the city of Boston, but also a true advocate for public transportation and a great friend of the MBTA, our friend Mayor Marty Walsh.
Thank you. I'm not going to keep you too long because I think almost everything has been said. But let me just give a couple shout-outs here today. I think Mike Moran captured it. The vision of Jim Davis and his family in this neighborhood, investing his own family, investing his own money into the project, but also working with the community, and the community, the Allston Brighton community, for the many, many meetings that you all went to, for the conversations, I'm sure at times the debates, and sometimes heated debates, working with your elected official, and you have an incredible delegation in Mark Siomo and Kevin Honan and Mike Moran, and the senators as well, Steve Tolman over time. You know, we get a chance, as elected officials, we get a chance to stand on the stage and take a lot of credit for a lot of things. But this project here goes back to the community. It really does. As Michael said, if the community wasn't involved and you didn't have a partner like Jim Davis, we're probably standing in a parking lot of a box store. Actually, we're not here today. And there's no commuter rail behind there because people drive to the box stores. No one lives on the site. No one takes the train. Bringing in the Boston Bruins first to be one of the anchors here at the Warriors Ice Arena was a big score for the city because the Bruins play in the city of Boston, but for years, for decades, they never practiced in the city of Boston. And now we have the Boston Bruins in the city. And the Celtics coming as they're building the Auerbach Center down the street. Again, it shows that this community is a place where people want to be. So I just want to say thank you to the neighborhood. Thank you to all the residents that are here today. Thank you, as Michael said, over 50 years, thank you to the residents that aren't with us anymore that were part of this conversation over time. Because it truly is, when you think about a process, the best process we get is generally when there's an involvement by the neighborhood. At the end of the day, the project is always better. In this neighborhood, in the last 3 years alone in Boston, we've been able to create 60,000 new jobs. The population we have in the city is the highest since the 1960s, which also happens to be the last time that Allston Brighton had a commuter rail station. We are a city on the go, and Boston Landing is helping us transform this neighborhood. So again, just to thank all the partners, everyone up here that was involved, thank you for your great work. To the past administrations, thank you as well. But today really is about two groups of people, the Davis family and the Allston Brighton community. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mayor Walsh. Let me also recognize Cam Neely from the Bruins here. Thanks for your leadership. That officially concludes our speaking program. At this time, I'd like you to join us for the official ribbon cutting of Boston Landing Station, which will happen right behind us. Thanks again.